Hey everyone, Joey here, and today we're going to be doing a setup guide for PPSSPP, the Sony PlayStation PSP emulator on Android. You're not going to need a PC for any part of today's guide. It's been 2 years since my last PPSSPP setup guide, so you could say it's about time for a new updated guide. I'm going to be using my AYN Odin 3 for today's guide, which is a Snapdragon 8 Elite device. However, PPSSPP can basically run on anything, low to high. It is a fantastic emulator with great compatibility. You are going to need your own ROMs for today's guide. ROMs are games, and for many reasons, I can't help you with how or where to get them. PSP ROMs are usually in an ISO or CHD format. CHD is the recommended format as they are much smaller and they save space. But ISO is just fine as well. And you can always convert ISO to CHD if you want. Link in the description to those instructions on my website. As for organizing these files, I would create a ROMs folder on your device or your SD card if you have one connected, and then create a PSP folder and throw all of your games inside of it. Once again, all of this can be done directly on your Android device just using any file manager and any web browser. PPSSPP can be installed through the Google Play Store or through their website with a direct link to the APK. It's entirely your call. The Play Store can keep things up to date, or you can use something like Obtainium to keep the APK up to date. It's up to you. Install the app and then open it. This very first page is important. It is asking where to save all of your data, and there's really only one option here. It's pre-selected already to create or choose a PSP folder. So click OK on the right, and now if you have an SD card, I would suggest that you head there, but otherwise if you don't, use the internal storage, and you want to create a folder called PPSSPP right on the root of the SD card or your internal storage. Then select Use this folder and allow. Then click OK on the next screen. Alright, now first up, let's tell PPSSPP where our games are. So click the Browse icon and navigate to your ROMs folder and then your PSP folder that we created earlier. Select Use this folder and allow. You should now see all of your games populated on screen as square icons. Before we launch anything though, we have some settings to take care of. Click Settings on the right. Now Vulkan is usually the default backend and there's no reason to change it, but you can adjust the upscaling through rendering resolution. If your Android device is powerful enough, you can upscale to 1080p or beyond to whatever matches your screen. I'll be doing 1080p. There's actually no real reason to touch any other setting except if you scroll all the way down, you can enable Show FPS Counter and Show Speed to show the performance in game. Let's head to the Controls tab next. Uncheck on-screen touch controls if you're using a handheld or controller to remove the on-screen controls. Then choose Control Mapping. Go ahead and choose Clear All. Then go and map each item to your controller or handheld. So D-pad up to D-pad up and so on. Skip the Control Modifier section, and then in the Emulator Controls section, I like having L2 as pause and R2 as speed toggle. Speed toggle is a fancy way of saying fast forward toggle, so you don't need to keep it pushed down. You can also set up more hotkeys if you want. I would enable Allow Combo Mappings on the left side, and then use combo hotkeys like L3 plus L1 for load state, L3 plus R1 for save state, and so on for anything that you think you might use. You can always come back here later to change things. Now with speed toggle, you might find that the game goes a little too quickly depending on your hardware. So to change that, if you go back to the graphics screen and scroll down to frame rate control, you should see alternative speed and it'll set to unlimited at the moment. If you click that, you can change the speed. So maybe 300% or 200%, which would be 2 times or 3 times the 100% would be a good option, but it's up to you. This is only if you're finding the fast forward speed to be way too quick and it'll cap it for you. Click back and then let's head to Tools. If you use Retro Achievements, select it and then enable it. And you can turn off hardcore mode if you don't use it. And you can log in with your username and password for Retro Achievements right at the top. Back out and head to System next. There is a few settings here that you should know about. Under save states, you can enable save state slot backup if you want to have more options to go to for save states. You can also turn on auto load save state so it boots right into your last save state when starting a game, but I don't personally use either of these options. Scroll down to cheats and make sure that you enable cheats. Even if you don't plan on using them, it's good to have. Back out to the main menu, go ahead and select a game to load into it. If you push the back button on your handheld if it has one, or swipe up and hit the back arrow, or back gesture, or if you map the pause button to L2 earlier, you can get the in-game menu. From here, you can save state and load state from any of the options. You can also head back to the settings screen to adjust some settings. But you can also create game config, which lets you create per game settings if you click yes. Now, settings becomes game settings, and any changes you make here only apply to this specific game. Otherwise, that's it. Enjoy playing, and when you're done, to exit a game, use this menu to do so. Now let's cover some advanced features, and we're going to start with cheats. We enabled cheats earlier through the settings. There is an awesome GitHub with an updated cheat database that has everything we need. Head to the GitHub link. Once again, everything is in the description. Click the cheat.db file that you see, and then the download option, which is through the button all the way on the right. Depending on how it downloads, it might download as a TXT file like mine did, in which case you just need to rename it and remove the .txt, so it should just read as cheat.db. Now, you just need to move that file into the PPSSPP folder that we created earlier when we install PPSSPP. And once again, that would be right on your SD card or internal storage if you followed what I did. You should see a PPSSPP folder, then inside of that is a PSP folder, and lastly, the cheats folder. Put the cheat.db file right inside of here. Go restart PPSSPP if it was open, and jump into a game and open the in-game menu. You should now see a cheats tab right on the right, and then you want to select the import top left to import the cheat.db. There should now be a bunch of cheats on screen that you can use. For any other games, all you have to do is the cheats menu and then import cheats to see them. As with anything cheat related, some can and will break your saves or cause other weird things to happen, so just be aware of that. It is the risk you take for having God mode. Now, combined with cheats are 60 FPS cheats. Most 60 FPS cheats are pretty much included with the cheat.db that we imported, but some aren't. You can find a master list of 60 FPS cheats on the PPSSPP forums, as well as a video on how to apply them. But before going through all of that, just double check that they don't already exist for your game in the cheats menu. Next up, we have HD texture packs. The PPSSPP forums, once again, has a master list of HD texture packs that you can choose from. Let's look at Final Fantasy Tactics. Scroll down on that page, and the download is a link to the GitHub, so click that. Now you want releases on the right, and you want to download the source code zip file. It's a large 2.7 gigabyte file, so it might take some time. Now open PPSSPP, and for this game specifically, they state the rendering resolution has to be set at 4x or above, and they recommend 6x. So make sure that you set that for this game using a per game setting, and you can exit the game after. If you're wondering how I knew this, the GitHub has instructions on their page. Now in PPSSPP, click Load on the right and navigate to that zipped texture pack and select it. You can now click Install, and it'll take some time, so just be patient. However, I did get an error. It's the first time I've actually gotten an error doing this, and it says storage full, despite the fact that I have 200 gigabytes of space available on this device. So let's look at how to work around this in case you get the same error I did. If yours installed properly and you didn't get an error, then you don't need to do this at all. But this is a good learning exercise as well. So let's go ahead and extract the zip that we downloaded. With the default Files app, you click in, then push and hold on the folder, and choose Extract. Then choose to extract to the Downloads folder. Other apps might be different for how to extract, but this is how you do it with the default app. We now need to rename this folder to the title ID of the game. So if you open Final Fantasy Tactics and click the I button, you can see the ID right under the name, which is ULUS 10297. Rename the folder to that. Then move that folder into the PPSSPP PSP Textures folder. Once it's done, click back and open the game. You're going to see Texture Pack activated at the top to know that it's working, and you can enjoy high-resolution Final Fantasy Tactics. But you also now know how to install any HD texture pack into PPSSPP. They go inside of the Textures folder, and they're separated by the title ID. Let's talk about custom shaders next. PPSSPP has default custom shaders, so head to Settings, Graphics, Display Layout and Effects, the plus icon under Post-Processing Shaders, and then choose the shader that you want to use. Now you can add even more shaders using a GitHub that has a whole bunch of different shaders. So click the green code button, then download zip. Extract the zip, and then copy all of the contents inside of the folder, which is all of the shaders, and you want to head to your PSP folder, and you should see save data, system, and so on. Create a folder called shaders. Then paste the files inside of that folder. Head back to the Post-Processing Shaders section and enable your shader. Next up, let's talk about fonts. Some PSP games require the official fonts to show up properly, so let's install them. Head to the official PPSSPP GitHub. Then click the green code button and then download zip. Extract the zip and head inside to the Assets folder. Copy the Flash 0 folder and paste it inside of your PSP folder. So it'll be right next to folders like cheats, game, PPSSPP_state, save data, textures, and so on. That's it. For the games that need them, they'll now work properly. Next up, let's talk about how and where to add your DLC if you have any. DLCs usually come zipped, so you will have to unzip them to get to the folder inside. And you'll see the title ID of the game. You now need to move that folder, and you want to put it inside of the PPSSPP folder that we created earlier, inside of the PSP folder, and then inside of the game folder. Now, if you have multiple DLCs for the same game, they will all have the same folder name of the game's title ID. So just merge them. Load up your game and play your DLC. And the very last thing for today is Syncthing. For those of you that use Syncthing, the cheats, Flash 0, PPSSPP_state, save data, shaders, and textures folder can all be synced across devices. Also, if you do have the PPSSPP folder on your SD card, if you have another device, when you install PPSSPP again on that device, you can choose that folder during setup and have everything ready to go. So it's awesome. That should be just about it for today. We went over everything and anything that I could personally think of, and you should be able to do anything that you want in PPSSPP now using today's guide and the different timestamps. Don't forget to like and sub to help the channel grow. Come join me on the Discord to talk all about retro gaming, and hope you all have a good one.